Welcome to Auburn Crown, a fantasy warfare mod for Strategic Command. In this video we'll do the opening turns for the Adversaries. In this playthrough we'll have a look at what it means to be playing the Adversaries in Auburn Crown. We'll look at their victory conditions, the adversary countries and their locations, brief overviews of those countries including the minor allegiance that they have, and the opening turns, the first five turns that we'll have a look at, including the units, the cautions, the decisions and the future planning. The image on the right hand side is that of Hrothvos riding upon the Dreadworm. This is how the Auburn Crown campaign opens, with the attack of the Dreadworm upon the realm of Ang-Nord in the north of the world. This rider is a pretender to the throne, believes that he is the heir to the throne of Angford, and therefore he has become allied with the dragon, who is also against Ang-Nord. And the reasons for that are in the backstory, but for now we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to be looking at how to play this particular game for the first 5 turns. So when you have Auburn Crown all set up with the mod activated, you'll see the screen that looks like this. I'm going to go into Hot Seat and I'm going to browse to the Auburn Crown campaign. I can have a look at the victory conditions, but for now I'm just going to save a bit of time and go straight into playing the campaign. Make sure that the 3D units are turned off and click OK. The load screen will start. You'll see where all of the countries are in the world, and you will know that Mittelheim, Potentia, Golden Khanate, and Dania, as well as Guatenheim, are the 5 adversary countries. Their allegiance are also mentioned. Okay, I'm not going to put a password, I'm playing hotkey, just showing it for a YouTube clip. Alright, the War of the Mithril Scepter has commenced. This is what I was talking about, where the army of Draka the Dreadworm has swarmed across the Desran Valley, heading east towards Watersbend, the capital of the Ang-Nord. Leading them, mounted astride the ancient worm, is Hrothvos, Dragon's son, who claims the throne of Ang-Nord as his own. The army of Prince Amund, the current ruler of Ang-Nord, has been caught unawares, its defences unprepared and its warriors complacent. The fiery breath of the Dreadworm and the blood-curdling yells of Hrothvos' warriors will soon awaken them from their reverie. That's the introduction, and then we have a bit of game information about what the adversaries can expect. And Dania and Potentia, if you have 8 elite veteran or infantry units deployed on your home continent, get a 500 national morale point boost each turn. The Potentian Praetoria, of which there are 4 of them, need to be occupied by a veteran or infantry unit to give a number of resource points. The Potentian Pomerium. If a fully mobilized Potentian veteran unit is within 2 hexes of Adrianople, their capital, it has crossed the Pomerium, causing a loss of 500 national morale points for Potentia. This is reminiscent of the Pomerium that was in ancient Rome, and that's of course its inspiration. So if you have veterans near the capital, then it causes a problem, because tradition has that these veterans are not to cross that line. Arctio for Mittelheim can discover the North Pole and exploit its resources, but you'd need to have an explorer, the sea warfare research, which has already been achieved by Mittelheim, an explorer, as I said, and an optional leader, so that when you get there from the transport, the long-range transport that you'll need to have, you can actually use the leader for supply. They can get there without it, but it's a much more arduous trek. Okay, so we're into the actual first move. I'll scroll out so that you can see the map. This is where the Dreadworm's forces are. He is allied with this place called Guatenheim down here. If you want to look at, think of some sort of inspiration for what it's like. To me, it's like Mordor. It is the only objectively evil place in the world. Down here in the Golden Khanate, they are also activated and are about to attack the ancient lands in the south. And Dania is not mobilized yet, but it will. And Potentia is the same. So these two are the powerhouses of the adversaries, and they start off with no diplomatic influence, but they can of course research technology and they can move units around. In the other side up here we have Mittelheim, think of Vikings, and this is where again they will eventually mobilize. They're not as strong as the other two, but they can be a real pain for Angnord, especially if Draka is still active when they mobilize. Okay, let's scroll back down here again, and you will see that Draka is right here in Morbright. His lair is actually over here in Ymurin Vale, but the campaign starts with him having moved across the land through the Desrin Valley towards Watersbend, which is the capital of the Angnord. Alright, so let's do a bit of an attack. We have a veteran unit here, the first Dreadhorde. I can see that there's nothing in here, and because I've played this a few times before, I know that there's no worry about being ambushed. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to attack them to reduce their entrenchment a bit. Then I'm going to bring up these veterans here, the Dread Cult Elite, and I'm going to attack them once. And then I'm going to send in Draka, and he is going to melt them, essentially. So let's go. Right, so he is incredibly powerful. He's a great dragon, one of the ancient great dragons of the world. There's only a couple, or a few, and he is one of them. The story of how he came to get hold of an army is not covered in this campaign, but there is a backstory for it, and it's part of my D&D campaign setting. Alright, I'm going to move a few of these guys around, move the leaders up so that they've got a bit of supply. Now over here we have this garrison here. It's militia in Orb and Crown, but they're garrisons in other strategy command games. Give them a bit of a nudge with that. Bring in another veteran unit to actually... Oh, didn't finish them off. Okay, well that's unusual. Not to worry, we'll get them next time. So I'm going to come up here and attack these guys. And I'm pretty sure this veteran unit will finish them off. Right, there we go. So those garrison units are taken care of. We'll move this leader up here. These creatures here, these large creatures, they're probably rocks, and they are like the strategic bombers of Orb and Crown. So I'm going to hit this place here because I know there's a garrison in that keep, and they're a pain in the neck. So I'm going to start the attack on them from these. Oh, they lost 2 points. So that's unusual, but to be expected when you're taking these risks. These Vikings here have joined Draka. They're a weak unit to start off with, but of course they can be reinforced later on. They have landed into the north, and they're going to run out of supply unless Draka can open up a supply route to them through here, which of course he will, because there's nothing to stop him. Alright, now I'm going to scroll out, and I know that down here in the Golden Carnate there is another attack about to take place. You don't have to. If you don't want to attack, don't. But I'm going to attack. So I'll go down here, I'll go whack with those Keshig elites and take out the garrison there. And then I'm going to come down with some veterans, some militia. I know there's nothing there. I know that's cheating, but hey, everyone's played the Poland invasion in War of Europe, and they know exactly where the Polish units are, so I don't see it as being too much of an issue. And I'm going to bring the leader down because they do need a little bit of supply. Okay. Because this is a bit of a slow burn to start off with, and there's not a lot of units to move around, this first turn for the Adversaries is really just setting up the future for them, basically. Now, this map here is the details map. I'm going to change that to, the more basic one. So just the text only. It's just a preference thing, whatever you like to do. So all I'm going to do now before I end this turn, because I'm not going to worry about moving anything for the other unmobilized countries yet, is have a look at diplomacy and then research. So diplomacy here, we've only got 2 countries that are mobilized, Guatemala and the Golden Carnate. Now Guatemala is well placed to put some diplomacy into Transmorodonia. So just to show you where that is, there's Guatemala, there's Transmorodonia. Now if they can get those guys online, on side, they will get their gold pieces. They will also get a giant unit and a few other units that they can use in battle. So it's well worth getting them on side. It also adds another level of threat to Malkan over here on the other side of the mountain range. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down here to Transmorodonia and I'm going to put two, they're 25 gold pieces each, and I've got 50. I'm going to put 2 chits into them because there's a reasonable chance that they will move in my direction. Alright, now the Golden Carnate on the other hand, let's have a bit of a look at them. They're over here, and they have an ally, a potential ally down here in Imhotep on the other side of the ancient lands. They also have potential enemies in Sinai and Chinois, which is here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get these guys online for the same reason. They're gold pieces, and they've got actually quite a strong army that is very useful to have. So I click on here, click on diplomacy again, and go down to Imhotep. I have 200 gold pieces, so I can actually put, let's have a look. I can actually put 3 chits into them. Now, do I want to do that, or do I want to save some for research? Actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to close out of here without actually applying the diplomacy, and I'm going to go to research because that's the segue to the next thing I wanted to talk about. So we'll go into research here. You'll see we've got all the different types here, very sort of medieval fantasy type flavor. Magic, you don't tend to find that in historical war games. And the one that I want to use for the Golden Carnate, because they are very much cavalry based, horse based, I want to give them charge. So I want them to get that as quickly as possible. Why have I got... Oh, that's right, because I've already put in a chit into diplomacy. All right, well that changes things a bit. So what I want to do is I want to get them to have charge because it gives them 2 attacks as cavalry, which is a really nice thing to have. It gives them a lot of strength when they come to attacking their enemies, of course. And the other one is march in formation, which gives them an extra action point, which is also very useful for their cavalry, which are very good on the attack but not as good on the defense. So you want them to be able to march in or ride in and attack the enemy from all sides. Okay, but I've already used a chit, so I've only got 175 gold pieces, and that means I'm just going to change things again, go back to diplomacy and add in these other 2 chits. So now I have 3 in Imhotep. That will give them a good chance of joining me at some point. The other one that I want to use my 4th chit on is Transorum Imperium. You can just see them over here off to the east. I was going to say the right, to the east of the screen, and they are a good ally to have. They're actually a colony of Potentia, but the Golden Carnate and Potentia have a close relationship, and they will be a useful ally if these 2, Sinai and Chinois, mobilize against Golden Carnate. So I'm just going to put 1 in because that's all I can put in, 1 chit, and I'm going to close out there. That's all I need to do, really. Research, diplomacy. I'm not going to buy anything yet, even though I could. Oh, there's one more. Okay, let's go up to Mittelheim. This veteran unit over here on the coast, there's a couple of things you can do. Obviously, you can transport them across there. Now, I'll just do that because, just to show you the cost, if I click on transport here, you see it's going to cost me 70 MPP. Well, that's interesting. Should be gold pieces, so I'll have to change that in the localization file, not a problem. But 70 gold pieces at this stage of the game is quite expensive, so I don't want to do that. I don't want to waste that kind of money at this stage, so I'm going to say no to that, and instead I'm going to be a nasty commander, and I'm going to say, you force march your way down there because we need you as quickly as possible. So double click and force march down here. Now they've got 200 gold pieces that they can spend on a unit or on research. Now, at the moment, 200 gold pieces won't actually buy them the veterans, which are good. They won't buy them the cavalry, which is good, or the elite. So at this stage, I would suggest perhaps putting it into a research. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to research weapons because, you know, eventually they're going to start attacking. They need to have a bit of weapon upgrade to do more damage. So 200 into that, and that's all I've got to start off with. It's a slow burn. This campaign is intended to be exactly that, a slow burn. Starts off with few units, few options and choices to make, but there are some, and we're just about to see them. Before I do that, let's have a look at Andania over here. And you'll see that what I'm doing when I'm checking on everything that needs to be done, click on these buttons here and they'll take you to the capital city of the country. Makes it a lot easier to just scroll around the map that way. Now I'm not going to move any of Andania's units, they can stay there, there's plenty of time to move them around, but like Mittelheim, I am going to put in some research. Now I'm going to put it into espionage because Andania has got plenty of time to get up and running before anybody will threaten it. So if I can become a bit of a technology superpower, then that will help me in the long run. It's a risk because at some point Angford over here will mobilize. They might attack through Lamont into Andania itself, but hey, I'm going to take that risk. Alright, so let's have a look, and that's it for all of those options there. You can see that I've used pretty much all of my gold pieces. If I have a look at Potentia here, the other thing that I can do is I might just move out the Empress along with her bodyguard. I'll send them ahead of her. At some point, this area down here, Libeslavia, will activate and will rebel. They're already on the cusp of it. They have been for a long time. The gladiators that are trained down there are sick of being treated so badly that they are ready to rebel. Okay, that's all we're going to do for these guys at this stage. Let's scroll out, have a quick look to make sure that we've done everything, not missed any units anywhere, and it looks pretty good to me. So I'm just going to end the turn and we'll go through the options that come up. Yes, I do really want to end the turn. Alright, as I said, the Vikings have suffered a bit of attrition, being in that forest without any supply. Alright, now Guartenheim has to make a decision here. The ancient blue dragon known as Imrith, or the Doom of the Desert, resides in the sandstorm-ravaged deserts of the Guar Scorch between Wretched and Guarten Peak. She has two offspring, whose internecine feuds have led to the deaths of many in Guartenheim's legions on more than one occasion. She is a vainglorious creature and may be bribed. For 20 gold pieces a turn over 10 turns, she may be bribed to cease attacking our forces on the road to Wretched. Her offspring, Zaster and Shazaran, terrorize the castle but only attack allies. At the end of this time, there is a 25% chance that she will join us. Do you want to bribe this dangerous creature or not? Clicking on the notes, you see that although it will cost a total of 200 gold pieces, it will be worth the investment if this great dragon joins with Guartenheim. There is only a 1 in 4 chance of that occurring, and the coin may be better spent on surer outcomes. So if, and there's a 25% chance, if Imrith joins with Guartenheim, she becomes a very powerful unit to have on side. However, there's only 25% chance, so you might want to keep the 200 gold pieces for a surer thing. Now, I really like having Imrith on side, so I'm going to say yes. I'm going to keep her, or at least give her the chance to join me. Alright, Guartenheim again. Dreadlord Jorax has prepared 2 options for your consideration. Build a tunnel to Buyaron. The road to attack our enemy Angford is too long. We need a shorter route. I suggest we tunnel through the Herculean mountains with our purple worms and break out near the whining Princess of Guildford. We would need to threaten the Buyaron goblin tribe, but they are weak and will cave in to your greatness. The other option, intimidate Oh, I've got to change that. That should be Trans-Morodonia. The other option is to send emissaries and spies to Altenburg and sway the humans to our cause. Their wealth will be useful. Do you want to build a road to Buyaron or intimidate East Bastony. Alright, now I'm going to look at the notes here. If you build the tunnel, there's a 30% chance each turn after the 7th month that the Buyaron goblins will mobilize 10 to 20% each turn, and once the tunnel is completed. So basically, and I'll show you this on the map in a moment, you'll build a tunnel through the mountains to get to the south of Guildford. The other option is to intimidate Transmoridonia. The Allegiant will move 30 to 50% once, and it will cost about 100. It will cost 100 gold pieces in total. Okay, let's have a look at the map. So there's Guartenheim here. The tunnel will be built through these mountains here. It takes a few turns, but that's what the option is going to do. The Buyaron goblins here will for sure join with Guartenheim, being weak and easily intimidated. Jummarok are the gnomes that are constantly at war with them, and they will probably also mobilize. It also has an effect on Thrangren down here. It's a magical kingdom. Alright, so just to see what it looks like, I'm going to say yes. It really depends. It really depends on your strategy, because if Guartenheim is thinking of attacking into Malkan here as its strategy, you don't want to build that tunnel there, because that will actually help your enemies to come through here and attack you. So you need to decide what your strategy is going to be. Now, it's possible to have both of them. It's possible to have this open and defend it and attack Malkan, but eventually you will be attacked through here from Moradon. You will be attacked from the Silk Sultanate and from Malkan, and possibly also from Guildford. So, you know, there's a lot of things to keep in mind with Guartenheim, but in this case, I'm going to say yes. All right. So we didn't get a lot of gold pieces because, you know, 20 have gone into building this tunnel here. We've got a little bit here from our Andanian Merchant Federation. But to start off with, the points are pretty low. So I've played the Allies' turn, and now it's back to us again. And I'm going to have a look at the replay just to see if there's anything to see, because in this early stage there might not be a lot to see. I would assume that the Allies player is going to reinforce Watersbend, and I see that Guildford has joined with Ang Nord. Okay, so Princess Crystalis is the sister of Prince Ahmed of Ang Nord, so they're close. And we've also seen that Angford is sympathetic to Ang Nord, so they've tried to use a bit of diplomacy. Okay, moving on, let's have a look at what we've got here. 35 gold pieces for Guartenheim is next to nothing, so we really need to make sure that we can get a few extra points. Right, so I'll start by moving these guys up here. I know that there is a garrison here, like I said last time, so I'll just keep on attacking them. It's going to take a little while to knock them out, unfortunately, but they are a fortification, so you kind of expect that. They're supposed to be strong. I'm moving this garrison up here, this militia. It's because I want to use them and the kobolds, who are down here. I forgot to move them last time, I'll move them this time. The kobolds will use those to garrison this area up here. They're otherwise pretty useless. Alright, now I can show... Hey, why don't I do that? I don't normally do this, but I'm going to show you these guys here are called Fanatics. They use the Kamikaze unit from Strategic Command. Basically, they attack within range, they do damage, and then that's it. They're dead. So these Fanatics, just like that, they infiltrate different units and cause all sorts of havoc, never worrying about whether they get captured, and they do get captured and they get executed for it. So that's what the Fanatics are. So I'm just going to use them here. I wouldn't normally. I would actually hold them off and use them against Watersbend, but just to show it, let's do it here. We'll get rid of these militias. It would be a complete waste of the Fanatics in doing that. Okay, they destroy them and then they disappear. Okay, now let's see, we're going to move these guys in and take this undefended castle here. Well, it's really more of a keep than a castle. And I'm going to try and take Waterspend. I'm not going to be able to get the castle. The castle at this stage is too strong. So I'm just going to see if I can do a bit of damage and take out this particular unit here. Now you can see they're pretty strong. They're going to do damage to me as I try to breach their walls. But as I bring down some of their entrenchment and their walls, the Dreadworm is now able to make a lot more trouble for them. So if that goes to plan, 2-5, that means that the Dreadworm will lose 2 points, but the castle will, or Waterspend, will lose 5. That will put them down on 4 points, which means hopefully the elites here can move into this hex and take 2 attacks on them. So it has done that. Let's see if I'm right. And I am. So I'm going to take them out now. And now the city itself is prostrate in front of me. I am threatening it with loud yells, and will surely take it next turn. And I also hope to take the whole town when I take the garrison out of the castle too. Alright, I'm going to move these guys up because I'm probably going to need these big wings. These are creatures with riders that are armed with all sorts of missiles and bombardier skills. I'm going to move my engineers across. No, they don't have enough supply. I'll do that next turn. And move these guys in here. Alright, other movements down here in the ancient lands. I'll continue this attack into the desert region of the ancient lands. It's going to take a little while. I know there's nothing down there. And move them down there. I'm just going to... I don't want to send these guys too far down, because if I want to move back up here to guard against a flanking maneuver from these guys, if they start mobilizing, at the moment they're not. They're on 10% each, so they haven't moved at all. Now that's the attack there. I have points. How many points do I have? Andania's got 121, Potentia has got 139, 207 for these guys. So like I said last time, I'm going to put that research into charge. I want their cavalry to be able to attack twice. Close there, go back up because I know the Empress is on the move. Don't want to leave her out in the middle of nowhere, and we'll move her bodyguard down that way a little bit. But that's all I need to do for this turn for the adversaries, and we'll move off. Okay, Imhotep has moved 20%. You can see that that is a sizable move. If you're used to a 4 or 5% move, you won't get very many. You won't get any of those. At least 15% each time. And we have received more gold pieces this time, but still not a huge amount. Okay, it's turn 3, and I'm going to see if the allies have done anything dastardly. I'm sure they have, but I probably won't see much of it. Okay, they've reinforced Waterspend. Logical thing, and that's it. Right, what are we going to do? Well, let's have a look, and we can see that Guatenheim's only got 72 gold pieces. Now, I have said that I'm going to build this tunnel, so I probably need to start moving some of my troops up towards the tunnels here. So we've got giants, we have elite troops, the Death Guard, and we have some air units as well. Now I'm going to move the leader, the Orkul, up this way, and move these guys down, because you should always keep a unit in your capital, because quite often, for the mages anyway, if you don't have a unit in the capital, there's quite often a national morale penalty for it. Okay, now the Dreadworm. I said I wanted to take Waterspend. Well, let's see if we can do just that. I will attack with, let's see, I've got that there. I think I'll attack with these guys first. Hit that. Yeah, that's fine, because now the Dreadworm flying low, breathing fire, roaring at the hapless defenders of Waterspend Castle, causes massive damage so that they surrender to the elite units that are attacking them from the ground, who take the city. And now this unit is going to move up to start putting a bit of pressure on Goodrich, the main port city of Agnord. So I need to have a bit of a look and see if they're there. Move there. Oh yes, they are. So I'm coming up here. I'll start destroying some of their entrenchment. And I'm going to leave these guys to get reinforced next turn. I think we'll leave the leader here. We'll put the equivalent of tactical bombers in here, and the fighters will move down here. Well, the equivalent of fighters. The Dreadworm himself is going to move closer to Watersbend, and up here again. Keep the pressure on this annoying little fort up here. See if we can knock down some of its morale, some of its entrenchment by attacking it. Oh, that's nice. Very good. Obviously the archers did a good job there. And keep the pressure up. Keep the pressure up. Keep their morale reducing. Eventually we will be able to, the kobolds go in and take Hawk's Eyrie and terrorize the local population before moving off to the north east. Nazma is occupied by a militia. We'll leave them there. Right, let's go down to have a look down here. I'm going to leave that there. We're going to move towards this port here. Now there's different approaches to this. I've seen players go straight through here and do a great job of that. Have to be very attacking and very effective to continue through this way to the capital over here, which takes a very long time. But if you want to just reduce the amount of gold pieces that the ancient lands are getting, as well as increasing your own, then that is a good place to go. But it is very well defended. Down here is not well defended. You get a port and you get extra gold pieces from it. So that's why I'm going to go for that rather than try to take the western areas. Move the leader down here. Now, any points? Right, Andania has got 250. They could, at this stage, buy a veteran unit, which is quite good. They could buy a cavalry unit. Like I said before, they don't need to. They've got plenty of time to get prepared. So I'm going to continue with the research into espionage. I'm going to put a second chit in there, and that will increase, of course, their chance of improving by 2. Now we also have Potentia, who have 200 gold pieces. I'm going to go into industry with them, make them a kind of industrial powerhouse. They already get a lot of points once they get going, but I'm going to make sure of that, and so that they can build their cohorts and their legions ready to attack when they're ready to, moving the Empress a little bit further down. The other ones, now the Golden Carnate, did that move anyone? I think it moved Imhotep, so I'm going to put the extra chit back into them again, and they're on 53%. That's good. That's good. That's moving quite nicely. All right, that's all we're going to do for this. Let's see if there are any options that we need to consider. Alright, so the loss of Watersbend has affected Angford, which is the king's realm. His son rules Agnord, where Watersbend is the capital. So he has moved his throne down to Donsborough. And we have this option here: espionage against the ancients or build a sky fleet. General Korensat seems very excited by the proposals he has for you. O great Khan, I am not worthy to share such lofty plans that you have already ordained from before the dawn of time. My first proposal is that we should send spies into the ancient lands and assassinate one of their leaders to crush their will to resist your mighty armies. Or, my second proposal, O mighty Khan, is to commence building our sky fleet that will rule the air over your armies as they move across the lands. Do you want to assassinate an ancient leader or build a sky fleet? Alright, well first I want to actually look and see what the options are. So I look here and I see that if I choose the espionage option, the ancients will lose 1,000 points of national morale for 5 turns, and it costs about 300 gold pieces. If I build a sky fleet, I get a sky fighter and big wings. They're kind of like the tactical bombers at Kunbish after a month delay. It costs about 400. So it costs more, you get more. So I'm going to go with the fleet, the air fleet, and say no to this one here. Now have a look at the map first. Alright, so this is where your fleet would arrive, your 2 units, after a month's delay. Right, so I'm going to say no. Big Wolf, they're the the elves of Big Wolf, concerned at the fall of Watersbend. It's not far away, and this great big dragon and his army are going through a valley just to the north of where they are. Maelstrom is the lair of the storm giants, and they are also concerned that this dragon is taking hold of a human kingdom. This is bad news for them, and they become involved as an ally. Angford, down to the southwest, is angry that Watersbend has fallen, which he should be, because he's the father of the guy who runs the place, so he should be angry. Right, now the tunnel has been completed. So you'll see that the tunnel has now been completed through the mountains. Guildford has started producing more in Albarth, down in the south there. And we have got quite a few gold pieces. So you can see just off to the side here that the tunnel has been completed. We still haven't got Bouillard on side yet, but that's just a matter of time, especially as we get a bit closer to them. I can't remember if this is turn 4 or turn 5, but this is going to be the last turn for this particular playthrough. Let's have a look at the replay itself. Now, a lot of things should have taken place that turn because we took Watersbend. Not much took place that we could see, but Big Wolf, the elves, sympathise with Angnord, so it looks like they're taking a diplomatic approach, trying to sway their allies towards them. Okay, now we have the first of many options to allow giants to join our forces. They are quite powerful units. They cost a bit, but the way that the decision is set up means that you pay for them over 10 turns rather than paying for them all at once. So they're about 300 gold, well, not about, they are 300 gold pieces each. So the hill giants of the Steading have seen our mighty army and have offered to join us. Do you agree to this arrangement, or should we send their messengers back to their Steading empty-handed? So let's have a look at the map. That's where the Steading is there. You can see that they're in that northern area where the Dreadworm is attacking. So joining the Dreadworm, they could be quite useful. So I am definitely going to say yes to that one. Looking at the notes, you can see that it's going to cost 300 over 10 turns. Right, yes. So the giants join, Steading Hill Giants. Okay, and that's the beginning of the turn there. Now, capturing Watersbend has sent all sorts of messages around the world, especially in this particular region. It's upset a number of different countries, and it's made a number of other countries very, very happy. The Vikings have, without the messages, have seen what Draka has been able to do, and they are encouraged and they mobilize closer towards becoming adversaries. At this stage, they are sitting on, if I hover over here or have a look up on the top there, I can see they're on 76%, so they are getting closer to mobilization. Alright, so I will start with these guys over here because they annoy me. Quite frankly, these guys in this fortification here, they hold out for longer than they really should. It's just one of those things in war. You can never tell what your enemy is going to be like until you actually attack them. So here we go, we're attacking them. And they're holding out. This can't last forever, and it won't. Probably in the next turn or so they will fall. But for now, they hold out quite well. You've got to give credit where it's due. You know, think I'll sell them into some form of bondage afterwards rather than kill them outright. I am using old term ideas. I know. I'm not really that nasty. Okay, anyway, we're taking on Goodrich, and look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack them with this. Oh, look, it's going to take down some of their morale, some of their entrenchment, and it's going to cost them. So when I hit them with the Dreadworm, his fiery breath gives them a really hard time. They still hold out, which is quite impressive. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to take them out this turn, but I certainly will next turn. So I'm going to reinforce the Vikings now that they're getting closer to Watersbend. I'm going to I'm going to move the leader in here and put Draka in there. All right, that's about enough for there. Go down to this attack that continues down here. Let's see if we can see anything at this stage. There's a bit of a dust storm around there. Right, there's the militia that is sitting in Fort Nergal, and they won't fall straight away, even when I attack them. So at this stage, my cavalry have only got one attack, but when I get charge, they will have 2 attacks. Alright, so that's where I'm going to leave this this playthrough at this stage. There's only a couple of things that I want to go through from the Adversary's point of view. Now, if I have a look over here at Guatenheim, I've gone through all the options that they've got, so there's a lot of thinking that you might want to do there. Now, you can see that the tunnel has been built. These goblins will come online fairly soon, as will the Vikings. So that will give the option of two adversaries joining together against Guildford. Now, you can't do that straight away, or well, you can, but it could be quite dangerous. But it is dangerous for them too, because they have to deal with Draka first. Well, they probably choose to deal with him first, and that will take a lot of their attention, a lot of their resources. So it's a good time to attack, but it's still not a sure thing that that's going to happen. Okay, other countries and what they need to be aware of. I've talked about the Golden Khanate with these two here, Sinai and Chinua, being possible attackers of their flanks. How far to go into the ancient lands is a decision that you'll need to make. And for Andania, they could build a very strong fleet to rule the waves. Of course, that's going to cost. Or they can focus on the land war, get Mermont on side, be aware that they can actually be treasonous at least once and stab you in the back. They can be brought back again into line, but it can be a bit annoying. But they will eventually probably attack into Angford here. All right, and the other thing is taking Arctio. This is in the far north, as you'd expect, being the North Pole, and there are 2 base camps here. Now, Mittelheim is the only country that can actually do that. Get an explorer to create a base camp here and then trek across the frozen wastelands into Arctio and get the resources from that. So that's something that you need to be aware of for Mittelheim, whether they're going to actually do that at some stage. It takes a few resources and a bit of time to actually do. Mittelheim should also think about getting allegiance. Norddelm, the 2 Kilmars, east and west, and Scoresbone are all potential allies, and of course their gold piece is going to be vital for Mittelheim to be able to continue to mount its military campaigns. Potentia has a number of colonies that it can bring online: Transorum, Metallus, and Nova Spes, so they can be brought online again to give extra gold pieces and forces that can be used in warfare. Okay, well, this video has already gone long enough. There's plenty of other things that could be included in it, but I'll end it at this point. If you've got any questions, of course, add them in the comments below. And as always, have fun and good luck. Thanks for watching.